Hey guys, welcome back. So what we are looking at today is 1.6. As some of you may notice, 1.6 is the last lesson in the chapter. Your next one is going to be 2.1. So that does mean that you have a test this week. So this lesson, typically what they do with the last lesson of a chapter is it's kind of a review of everything. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing we're looking at is transforming lines. We want to graph the following linear equations on the grid. The equation y equals x has been graphed for you. For each new equation, explain what the number 3 does to the graph of y equals x. Pay attention to the y-intercept, x-intercept, and slope. Identify what changes in the graph and what stays the same. So the first one we have is y equals x plus 3. So we have a slope of 1 and we have a y-intercept of 3. So we're going to go to our origin. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3. We make a point. Now, let me make that a little bigger. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to do this. Now, our slope is 1. So that means from here, we're going to go up 1 and over 1, make a point. Up 1 and over 1, make a point. Up 1 and over 1. And so I'm going to keep doing that because that's going to make it a little easier for me, hopefully, to try to graph this out on here. I'm going to do my best. My line may not be the straightest. Try to get yours as straight as possible. Makes it easier to see the relationship. Okay, so we connect all these points, kind of, sort of. Okay, so there is our line y equals x plus 3. Now, in comparison to the line y equals x, what happened? It shifted up 3, so it's up 3, but the slope stayed the same. So the slope remained the same, but it went up 3, so the whole graph was shifted up 3. Okay, the next one. We have y equals x minus 3. Y equals x minus 3. So that means our y-intercept is negative 3. We have a slope of 1. So we come over here to our graph. We go down 3 to start. 1, 2, 3. But we still have a slope of 1 over 1. So we go up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Keep doing that so you can draw your line. See, my line is not doing very well this time. And then we keep going down this way. Connect that back up there. Okay, so there is our next equation. Now, what's different in this one? It's down 3, but once again, the slope stayed the same. All right, and the last one, y equals 3x. So in this one, there's nothing being added or subtracted to the end, so that means we start at the origin, 0, 0. And our slope is 3 over 1, so that means we're going to go up 3, so 1, 2, 3, and over 1. Go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1. Go back to the origin, we're going to go down 3, so 1, 2, 3, and over 1. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. Now we connect these points. I'm going to do the best I can. Try to do better than me because mine kind of, sort of. Obviously mine is a little hard too. A little hard to look at, but what is different in this one? It's got a steeper slope. So steeper slope. But what stayed the same in comparison to the original y equals x? Same y-intercept. So the y-intercept stayed the same. It's both at the origin, but it's a steeper slope because it's a whole number for a slope. All right, so this is what you guys are going to be doing on number 2. So number 2, same thing. It's just different values. Be super careful though, because you have plus a negative and you have minus a negative. So be very careful as to what those are going to look like. Remember, if you have minus a negative, we cross and stab and it turns into addition. So be very, very careful there. And make sure you tell me what happens, what's different, what's the same. All right. The next thing we're looking at is distinguishing between linear, exponential, and quadratic functions. So there are going to be 4 parts to each of these. You want to identify whether or not the relation is a function. So we have to figure out first and foremost if it's a function. If it's not a function, guess what? You don't have to do B, C, or D. So you only have to answer one question if it's not a function. But if it is a function, and let me tell you, the majority of them are going to be functions. There is at least one that is not a function, though, I will tell you that. So after we determine whether or not it's a function, then we determine if the function is linear, exponential, quadratic, or neither. So 4 different kinds of ways that we can classify this. Then for C, we describe the type of growth. So is it growing in a positive direction, a negative direction? What's it being multiplied by? Those sort of things. And then last but not least, we express the relation in the indicated form. So it's going to tell you how it wants you to show it, okay? So the one we're going to look at is number 4. So we have this table, 0, 81, 1, 80 and 2/3, 2, 80 and 1/3, 3, 80, 4, 79 and 2/3. So what exactly, first of all, is it a function? For every x value, is there only one y value? Yes. That means we have to answer the other 3 questions. Now, is this linear, exponential, quadratic, or neither? So are we going down, since this is decreasing, the higher our term number gets, the lower our y value gets? Is this decreasing by the same amount each time? Yes, it is. We're going down by, we're going from 2/3 to 1/3, from having 80 and 1/3 to just 80. We're going down by 1/3. So it is linear. How does it grow? Well, it's decreasing by 1/3. Now, we want to write the explicit equation. So we're going to have f of x equals, what's it decreasing by? What's our slope, or the thing that changes? 1/3. Now, because it's decreasing, it's going to be a negative 1/3 x plus, we come over here. Notice we have the 0 term, so we actually don't have to solve for the 0 term. It's telling us 0 is 81, so plus 81. So there is our answer. So be super, super, super careful when you're doing these. Make sure you don't just say they're all not a function, because you don't want to have to take and do the other questions, because let me tell you, the majority of them are going to be a function. So keep that in mind. You are going to see no function will repeat more than once. So we've already done our linear function. That means you have exponential, quadratic, neither, or no function left. So keep that in mind. But what we're doing here is we're distinguishing what kind of function they are. So being able to look at these and understand what kind of function is being represented. So distinguish is your key word for this lesson. Distinguish is your key word for this lesson. All right, so what we have here is matching. So we want to match the function on the left with the equivalent function on the right. So they're going to be in different forms from one side to the other. Let me tell you. So if we look at these, this first one, we have an explicit equation. F of x equals negative 2x plus 5. So obviously A is not going to be what matches to that. These are two explicit equations, and they're very different things. That's not going to represent it. The next one, B, it is a linear, so it is linear. These would all form a line. We are going down 2 and over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. And if we went back up, we would have a y-intercept of 5. But when we have an explicit equation, it's going to be an actual solid line, not just the points. When we use the recursive equation, that's when it's just the points and it's a sequence, versus when we use the explicit equation, then it's going to be an actual line. All right, C, I'm going to tell you right now, is now equals previous plus 2n plus 2, where your first term is 2. So just to kind of explain what that represents there. D, we have a solid line with a y-intercept of 5. Looks like we're going down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. So D is our match for this right here. All right, for number 8, we have a quadratic equation. Quadratic equation. Our intercepts are at 1 and -3. It's crossing the y-axis at -3, and the center is at -1, -4. So this is an exponential function. Quadratic does not go with exponential. A series of points is not going to go with this equation here. Does not match what's happening there, so that's not going to work for us. We already used D. E is a linear equation, so that doesn't work. Look at F. X minus 1, there's our positive 1 for our intercept, and x plus 3, there's our other intercept. So that means F is our match here. So F is for 8. So be very careful as you're going through these. Yes, I'm going to make you do the rest of them. I gave you a couple, so that's going to help in trying to match these, but be super, super careful. So this is an exponential, linear, quadratic, linear, exponential. So just a little help there on knowing what those represent. All right, your keyword, remember, is distinguish. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Have a great day, you guys.